How does it feel to be a father of more than 500 children? His name is David. He looks messy on the outside, but he is the biological father of 500 children. More than 20 years ago, David was in dire need of money, so he took the fake name Starbucks, went to the hospital to donate sperm, and you know how to donate. Between 1988 and 1990, under the nickname Starbucks, he donated 693 tadpoles to the hospital for 12 months, in return for the total amount, $24,000. Because the quality of his sperm is so good, the hospital has helped more than 500 families have children. Now that the babies are all grown up, they really want to know who their biological father is, so they filed a lawsuit in court, hoping to meet this mysterious father. David could not have imagined that when other people wake up, they will have $500 million, and he will have more than 500 children. David's lawyer gave him the file. Inside it was all information about his children. At this time, David vehemently refused. This was like a 1,000-pound mountain on him. What normal person can stand it? But David is no ordinary person. When he calmed down, he picked up the file again, and finally couldn't help but pull out one of them. God, can you believe it? It turned out that this kid was a national player. On the pitch was a beautiful goal, causing excitement in the cheering audience. David was extremely excited, sitting in the stands, shouting his son's name with great pride. He couldn't have imagined that the national player would carry his blood that loves to play football. It feels like he is living his youth like his past. David withdrew another kid's file. He pretended to be a guest at the bar and met another son named Etienne. This son, although a bartender, grew up very handsome and had dreams of becoming an actor. However, that day, the boss asked him to increase again, and he got a call telling him that the audition was about to end. If he quit his job to interview, he wouldn't be successful, but if he lost this job, he would definitely sleep on the street. Seeing his son angry, David didn't know what to do, quietly left the bar. At this point, David suddenly knew what he should do. He went back to the bar, threw the truck keys to his son. David would be in the shop for him, told him to hurry up to audition. Etienne asked him why should he help him? David just smiled and said, helping others realize their dreams is my joy. Hurry up. Then the innkeeper arrived, not expecting David's work to go with the wind. Fortunately, Etienne's audition was successful. The opportunity came to Etienne. He began to walk on the path of acting. It seems that having 533 children is not so scary. So David decided not to tell them his identity and went to see them. His children are from all walks of life. There are lifeguards at the pool, promenade, tour guide, manicurist, bright, handsome boy, charming beautiful girl. He agreed to become the guardian angel for each child. His son's business was not so good. He thought of a way for passers-by to throw coins in support. The model daughter was dressed too sexy. He immediately frantically defended. The son as a guide has no guests. He is the most loyal listener. He also protects this fat ghost son. He was always by his side when he was drunk and then took him home. As long as there is free time, David will choose a child, use his way to get to them. But one day he saw the profile of a son, suddenly changed his face. He went to the sanatorium. This is his youngest child, also the most unlucky one. This boy was born with polio. He couldn't even speak. David didn't tell his uncle who he was, didn't say a word to his children, just sat next to him to watch movies with him, sunbathe with him, feed him rice. I feel so sorry. I owe this baby a lot, because my genes made this child like this. David didn't know what to do for him. As the day ended, he prepared to leave with a heavy heart. The nurse next to him told him, he did a great job. Taking care and being with the boy is the biggest help. That evening his children were holding a meeting to sue David. David joined the meeting as the foster father of the youngest child. He didn't care how the children were going to sue him, just stood up blankly, looking at the hundreds of unfamiliar and familiar faces behind him, his mood indescribable. Although he didn't know them, he loved each and every one of them. A child next to him thought he wanted to speak, so he gave him a microphone. David received the microphone very seriously and said, I want to say that I don't know you, but I love you, love each and every one of you. You put all your efforts into finding a dad named Starbucks. But never forget that you're brothers and sisters. You found each other. David also joined the children's party, camped together, barbecued together during the day, and the children became a mass. At night, light a fire and listen to their stories. In the morning, taking the child to watch the sunrise, he finally told his true identity to his young son. I am your father. David went to find a lawyer. He decided to make his identity public, but his lawyer threw him a newspaper. This incident was so hot that the hospital released this news, as long as David persisted in not disclosing his identity. On the contrary, he sued the hospital. He could be compensated for the mental damage of $200,000. David disagrees with this. Is not like selling children. Currently on Earth there are nearly 5 billion people, all talking. Who is Starbucks? Moreover, there are negative comments. Even David's wife thinks Starbucks is a pervert. If Starbucks really revealed its identity, the consequences would be very serious. That evening, when his parents came to visit, David's father took advantage of this happy atmosphere to tell his daughter-in-law many bad stories about David's childhood. Even though this kid can't do anything great, and he's always messy all day, but he will always bring you surprises. Recalling 20 years ago, before David's mother passed away, David unexpectedly gave the two of them tickets to Venus. Going to Venus for the honeymoon has always been their dream. After that, the whole family went away, spending the last time with their mother. It was a really beautiful time, and the cost of the whole trip was covered by David. That's the story of it. This guy will always bring surprises. His wife asked, "Where did you get so much money that year?" He just smiled and said, "This is a little secret. Maybe you also understand, right?" That year, why did David have to take the name Starbucks, go to the hospital so many times? In addition to being the father of more than 500 children, David has a secret from everyone. He was in debt a lot. Creditors came to claim it again and again. David took it as a habit. Eventually creditors began to target David's father, dealing with him the same way he dealt with David. At this point, the whole family knew about it, and finally David was forced to find a lawyer, deciding not to publicize his identity against the hospital. Anyway, he really needed the money. During the trial, his lawyer was very good, helping David win this case, but seeing the profound speech of his children, his decision began to shake. Despite disappointment, we believe there is still a chance. I believe he can see this interview. The decision is in his hands. We have seen a lot of media cursing him. We hope you know that none of us see him as a bad person. We see him as someone who brings happiness and life to those who really need it. Thank you. If you actively reveal your identity, then everything you did before is useless, and the other money will also be recovered. David hesitated and returned, only to find his father waiting for him. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and told his father that he was Starbucks. Unexpectedly, not only was he not awake, he was also smiling happily. "So now you're the grandfather of more than 500 grandchildren? It's really a big surprise." David asked his father what should he do now. He pondered and told him the story of his youth. "That year when he left home to look for a job, your grandfather gave me his entire savings of $10. At that time I swear, I will definitely pay him back many times over. But until your grandfather is gone, your mother and I still have nothing. Now with a little achievement, everything is too late. The luckiest thing in my life is being able to be with you every day, just like that year your grandfather helped me. Today I want to help you too. Take it, here's $10. It brought me luck." David thought a lot of money but was a little disappointed. After saying that, David's father took out a bag of money again. "This is too much." Father dispels David's doubts. David decided to make his identity public. He sent an email to the television station. But the unfortunate thing is that the date of the identity announcement was on the day of his wife's birth, but fortunately, the mother was round and the child was square. But what made him even more surprised was that his children had filled the lobby waiting for the hospital, holding congratulatory gifts in their hands. His children gave him a big hug, very warm. There is something happier than that. This child must have been born with more than 500 brothers and sisters. The movie is coming to an end. If one day you are the father of 500 children, how will you be?